What if Samsung is about to change the entire foldable game with not one, but three new devices coming our way? Today we're diving into some major leaks about Samsung's upcoming foldable lineup, and honestly, there's both exciting news and some disappointing updates. We're talking about the Wide Fold, a completely new type of foldable phone that Samsung has never made before. Plus, we've got fresh details about the Z Fold 8 and Z Flip 8 that will either make you excited or leave you scratching your head. Stick around because some of these battery specs are going to surprise you, and I will break down exactly what this means for your daily usage. Let's start with the biggest news here, the Samsung Galaxy Wide Fold. This isn't just another iteration of the Z Fold series we know and love. According to Digital Chat Station, a reliable Chinese tipster, Samsung is working on something completely different. The Wide Fold is supposed to feature a 7.6-inch main display, which sounds familiar if you know the current Z Fold dimensions. But here's the twist. It's going to have a much wider aspect ratio. Think of it like this. Instead of opening up to something that looks almost square like current Z Fold phones, this Wide Fold will open up to look more like a small laptop screen. The wider screen means you'll get a better experience when watching YouTube videos, Netflix shows, or even working on documents side by side. Current Z Fold phones are great for productivity, but they still feel a bit cramped when you're trying to run two apps at the same time. This Wide Fold could solve that problem completely. Now let's talk about what's powering these devices, and this is where things get really interesting. Both the Z Fold 8 and this new Wide Fold are expected to run on the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 chipset. That's the absolute latest and greatest processor that Qualcomm will have available when these phones launch. What does this mean for you? These phones will be among the fastest Android devices you can buy. We're talking about smooth performance for gaming, video editing, running multiple apps, and basically anything else you throw at them. The Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 should also be more power efficient than current chips, which brings us to the battery situation. Here's where we get into the good news and bad news territory. The Wide Fold is rumored to have a dual-cell battery system with a total capacity of around 4,800 mAh for typical usage. The actual rated capacity is 4660 mAh, split between two cells, one at 2267 mAh and another at 2393 mAh. Now, 4,800 mAh might not sound huge compared to some regular smartphones that pack 5,000 mAh or more. But remember, this is a foldable phone with two screens to power. The current Z Fold 5 has a 4,400 mAh battery, so we're looking at about a 400 mAh increase. That's decent progress, but honestly, it's not the massive jump many of us were hoping for. For daily usage, this probably means you'll get through a full day of moderate to heavy use, but you might still need to charge before bed if you're a power user. The charging situation is more promising though. Both the Z Fold 8 and Wide Fold are expected to support 45-watt fast charging. That's the same as current high-end Samsung phones, and it means you can charge from 0 to about 70% in around 45 minutes. Not the fastest in the industry. Some Chinese brands are doing 100+ watts on foldables, but it's competitive and reliable. Now let's talk about the regular Z Fold 8 for a moment. Besides getting the same Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 processor and 45-watt charging, it's also rumored to include satellite communication features. This is actually a bigger deal than it might sound at first. Satellite communication means you can send emergency messages and share your location even when you have no cell signal. If you're hiking in remote areas, traveling to places with poor network coverage, or dealing with natural disasters, this feature could literally be a lifesaver. Apple has been including similar features in recent iPhones, so it makes sense for Samsung to catch up here. The Z Flip 8 is taking a different approach though, and this is where some people might be disappointed. Instead of the flagship Snapdragon chip, the Z Flip 8 is expected to use Samsung's own Exynos 2600 processor. Samsung has been doing this regional split strategy for years. Some markets get Snapdragon, others get Exynos. The problem is that Exynos chips have historically been less powerful and less efficient than their Snapdragon counterparts. We won't know for sure how the Exynos 2600 performs until it's officially tested, but many people prefer Snapdragon for good reason. The Z Flip 8 is also getting slower charging at just 25 watts compared to 45 watts on the Fold models. For a smaller phone with presumably a smaller battery, this might not be a huge issue in real-world usage, but it does show that Samsung is creating clear tiers in their foldable lineup. Let's step back and think about what this all means for the foldable market. Samsung is basically creating three distinct categories now. The Z Flip series is focused on style and portability. It's for people who want a regular-sized phone that folds into something super compact. The Z Fold series continues to target power users who want a phone that transforms into a small tablet for productivity. And now this wide fold is going after people who want maximum screen real estate in a foldable package. This makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Different people have different needs, and Samsung is trying to cover all the bases. The timing is also interesting because 2026 is shaping up to be a huge year for foldables. Apple is finally expected to release their first foldable iPhone, which could completely change the game. Chinese brands like Huawei are also pushing foldable technology forward at an incredible pace. Samsung needs to stay competitive, and launching multiple foldable options seems like a smart strategy. One thing that's really impressive is that despite larger batteries and more features, these new Samsung foldables are expected to be thinner and lighter than current models. Samsung has been working on this for years, making foldables that don't feel like you're carrying a brick in your pocket. If they can pull this off while also improving battery life and performance, that's genuinely impressive engineering. The display technology is also worth mentioning here. Samsung makes the foldable displays for most brands, including Apple's upcoming foldable. So they're in this interesting position where they compete with Apple while also supplying them with screens. This gives Samsung a huge advantage in the foldable market because they control the most important component. They can use the latest and greatest display tech in their own phones while also making money from competitors. Let's talk about pricing for a moment, even though we don't have confirmed numbers yet. Current Z Fold phones start at around $1,800, which is already pretty expensive. If Samsung adds a wide fold to the lineup, they'll need to price it carefully. Make it too expensive, and only a tiny number of people will buy it. Price it too close to the regular Z Fold, and you cannibalize your own sales. My guess is the wide fold will probably be positioned as the premium option, maybe starting around $2,000 or more. That puts it in direct competition with whatever Apple releases, which could get really interesting. For regular consumers, the big question is whether these improvements are worth upgrading for. If you have a current Z Fold 5 or even a Z Fold 4, the performance jump to Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 will be noticeable. The battery life improvement is nice but not revolutionary. The real appeal might be in that wide fold form factor if you find current foldables too narrow when opened up. So there you have it. Samsung's 2026 foldable strategy is shaping up to be their most ambitious yet. The Galaxy Wide Fold represents a completely new direction that could appeal to users who want more screen real estate. The Z Fold 8 continues the productivity-focused approach with better performance and useful new features like satellite communication. And the Z Flip 8, while getting some downgrades in processor and charging speed, will likely remain the most accessible entry point into foldables. What do you think about these leaked specs? Are you excited about the wider aspect ratio on the wide fold, or do you think the battery improvements aren't enough? Let me know in the comments below. If this video helped you understand Samsung's upcoming foldable lineup, hit that like button to help the algorithm. And make sure to subscribe if you want to stay updated on the latest smartphone news and leaks. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.